All right, Chief put out a video a few days ago about doing wainscoting with cabinets. And that's a pretty common way of doing this. I think most everybody has figured that out by now. But as usual, I mean, this was only a 6.5 minute video, but as usual, Chief doesn't, they show the easy way of doing things, and they don't seem to ever go into showing showing the details and how this really should be done. I mean, this is, they multiple copied this cabinet across here, and then at the end, they just, resize this end cabinet, which is not the way it would normally be done. And when they put these raised panels, I guess that's what these are, and all they did was they replaced the door. They made these cabinets inset, and then they just stuck a door in there, which again is not normally the way it's done. Normally the frame, the stiles and rails frame a raised panel or a flat panel. They don't frame a door. And so I'm going to talk about some of this stuff and try to expand on what they've done a little bit. I made a while back, I made some of these raised panels, and this one has a little bead or something, a little detail around the outside edge of it. And I made this into a door or a drawer head. And instead of just sticking a door in these cabinets, I used this. And so there's no frame around it, which there shouldn't, normally in wainscoting it looks like this. It doesn't look like a frame with another frame with a raised panel or a flat panel inside it. I just think this looks more realistic. So let's look at a couple of these things. This is a cabinet, this is a cabinet, that's a cabinet, and that's a cabinet. And the difference between these is this one has a style. Let's open up this one. And you can see this one is missing this style on the left-hand side. And that's because down here where it says left style, I've got it as 0. And then this one over here, down here, it says 3. And if you look in general, or box construction here, it's framed, its separation is 3 inches. That's where that 3 inches comes from. And you could also play around with this left style extended and right style extended. The other thing is that if you watch Scott's video, he does not set this to 0. He leaves it at, I think it's a 16th is the default. And if you that is the spacing. That's the gap between the door in the center and the frame around it. So you normally want that to be 0 when you're doing this, because you don't want a gap in there. You can actually see through that gap, even at a 16th of an inch. And in his video, he makes these things a door, and then he goes over and removes the hardware from the door. And if you just make it a door panel, that gets rid of the hardware and it gets rid of the opening indicators. If this is a door, you get opening indicators, which you don't want. So I'm going to cancel out of that. Another problem with using cabinets is that Chief has a built-in rounding, I guess you would call it. So let's go back over here. Let's look at these cabinets. These needed to be 19.4 inches wide to fill this space in here. And if you look at one of these, it's 19 3/8. If I put 0.4 in here, it changes it. So it's really hard to be accurate, even though that's a really small amount. It's hard to be accurate when you're using just a regular cabinet to do this, which is annoying. You know, if you put a width in here, no matter what it is, that's what it should be. It should not be modified. A lot of people won't even notice that. You know, I got in a long time ago when I first started using Home Designer, I got used to making a change. You know, it used to be I would do this. I would make a change and I'd come down here and I'd click OK. And then I'd find out that what I changed wasn't, you know, the number I keyed in wasn't the number that the thing measured anymore. And I'd have to come back and I'd see that Chief changed it. So now I'm trying to get in the habit of hitting tab so I can see what Chief is going to do, if anything. But anyway, the other problem with using cabinets are quick. You know, they're easy to do. But when you've got cabinets in a corner like this, which is you know, when you're running wainscoting around a corner, this is a pretty common situation. And if you go up here and you turn on create automatic blind corner cabinets, you see what happens. Chief messes with the cabinets. And I don't think that there's any way to tell an individual cabinet not to respond to that setting. And so if you have that, if you're somebody that uses that setting, if you keep it on all the time, you're going to have this problem. And so I'm going to unclick that, and it goes back to where I put it. So what you can do is you can make a symbol. You can select one of these cabinets and you can make a symbol. And these are symbols. And the thing about a symbol is you can change its width accurately. You know, if you want this to be a 19.372727, you can key that in and that's what it'll be. One thing I noticed is that when you do make these into a symbol, you get these lines. Now I'm just using standard view with hand-drawn lines on top. I like the looks of that better than looking at vector view. It's just a little calmer looking. But you get these lines. You notice that these cabinets over here, they have no lines. And if you're doing paint grade, this is great. This all blends together. It looks like it's you know, it's really nice looking. But if you're doing wood grain stuff, I don't think I would do this way, because you need to make these pieces individual so that you could apply wood grain in the correct grain direction to all these different pieces. You'd want these rails all to be one grain direction and the stiles to be another. And so this is a symbol of the end cabinet back over here that's wider. It's got this left side style on it, and this is a symbol of this cabinet. Now if I was doing this, and I've done this in the past. This is the way I would do it over here on the right hand side. I'd use a cabinet like this, and this is just a cabinet without you know, there's nothing above here. There's nothing down here at the bottom. It's just a minimal cabinet with these raised panel things in here. And so that's what you see there and there and there. And then to get this top piece and this bottom piece and this molding across the bottom and this little molding across the top, there's a single molding polyline down here at the bottom, and those are all moldings. So this rail across the top, this rail across the bottom, this base, and this little molding here at the top are all moldings that make up what's missing out of this over here. And the reason I like doing that is because you can see in this view all the stiles and the rails, even though they're painted and it, you know, it's not really that important, they all look correct when you've got lines showing like this. You know, if I was going to build this, if I was going to go out and assemble something like this, this is the way it would get built. And with symbols, you don't have to worry about bumping stuff into the corners, because symbols are not cabinets. They don't respond to that blind corner cabinet setting. And you can copy and paste these, you know, these symbols and multiple copy them and things, just like you would a cabinet or anything else. So, and I made these. I'm not sure it matters, but these are millwork, which to me makes sense. I mean, that's what they are. They're millwork. So there's kind of a bunch of nuances, just like everything else in Chief when you're doing this stuff. But I would encourage, you know, if you're interested in doing this, I made these because I use these when I'm making a full-size door. And these, I've got videos, other videos, I'm sure, on my website or the YouTube that talk about making these. I probably started with a countertop and just stuck a molding on the edges. That's real easy to do. I probably made this molding, and these are, it's hard to see, but these are this particular one is double-sided. Let's pull it out from the wall a little bit. That's something else. That's something else. That's something here. You can see there's a raised panel on the back of this as well as the front. And that's because like I said, I use them to make full-size doors. And they're different colors, a little bit, not much different, but they're different materials because sometimes you want to paint the inside of a door different than the outside of a door, and this just makes that easy. You can because you're painting a material, you're not painting the whole thing. Anyway, like I said, I wish Chief would go in when they do these videos. I wish Chief would go through a bunch of this stuff so people would learn more than just how to knock something out that doesn't look very good. I mean, Chief ought to go through making a raised panel like this that you can then use in these things. The other advantage to just using a cabinet like this is these things are easy to do. I just made this thing for somebody else. So all you need to do is click in there, and that changes the door quickly. I'm sure there's some more stuff, but like I said, if I was doing this to be more realistic, if I was gonna make this stained and want the wood grain going correctly, I would do this differently. I wouldn't start with a cabinet. I would start, I think, with this.